G'day everybody, my name's Danny and welcome to Board Game Sanctuary, a place where we review beautiful thematic board games, all with a quirky twist. In this video, we look at my top 7 games that you should be adding to your Christmas wish list for that very special person. Let's get going! Hey Danny, what are your thoughts about doing Kris Kringle this year? What are you doing? Oh, I'm wrapping up all my favorite board games so I know that we'll pick something good. So for this year's Christmas guide, I'll be going through 7 of my favorite board games, but I've divided them into 7 different categories because there's a lot of different gamers out there with a lot of different interests, a lot of different play styles, and a lot of different situations. Some people like to play with their partner, and others like playing with a big group, and others like playing cooperatively. So there's a game for everyone, and I hope something in this video piques your interest. One of the most iconic things that people think about when it comes to Christmas is the Christmas tree. There's a sense of tradition when it comes to decorating a Christmas tree, putting up the ornaments, and hanging that shining star from the very top. The next game I want to introduce to you is one that is all centered around growing things, and this game is perfect for the family. It is called Verdant. Green is a colour we often see at Christmas time, from Christmas trees, to holly, to my grandma's mashed peas that accompanies her Christmas Day roast. Verdant is one game that always brings the family to the table, or is it to the backyard? It's a game where players take on the role of plant enthusiasts as they take a leaf out of an IKEA catalogue as they attempt to decorate the coziest place of all. It's a checkerboard spatial puzzle where players are trying to position different species of plants next to their ideal room space and fulfilling their light requirements at the same time. Match a plant to its favoured light condition and it gains verdancy. The fun element here is that any future rooms you place down will trigger the verdancy again, leading to a room full of luscious plant life. To further jazz up the space, players can also place items in them. If an item colour matches the room colour, and it also matches the favourite plant type, more verdancy is added. It's like adding stars on a Christmas tree, except they're wooden monstera leaves. To obtain these decorative products, players will be drafting pairs of tokens and cards from the market row. The challenge here is that players will only ever be able to pick up either a room card or a plant card, plus its connected token. So you might get what you want, but also something you don't need. It's like opening a Christmas present and realising that it's been regifted to you. Verdant is a plant-themed game that has quickly risen to the top of one of my most played family games in my entire collection, and I think it makes the perfect Christmas board game to get out on Christmas Day, especially after you've unwrapped those presents and had a really big meal. There's a really cool puzzle to be solved here, where you're placing plants and room tiles checkerboard style to try and score as much verdancy on those plants as possible. I really like the racing competitive element that this game has to offer. Players are trying to fulfill these objectives that kind of come out in different combinations each and every game. And there's a sense of efficiency when it comes to who can try and build the most verdant engine. And you're often finding yourself looking at the player next to you and seeing how their rooms and their plants are going compared to your own. The next game I want to talk about are for those people that really don't have a lot of other people to play with, or people who simply prefer to play on their own. I'm talking about solo games. I love it when board games come with a solo mode, because not only do you get to play that game with your friends or your family, but you can also dabble in the game on your own, in your own time, at your own pace. I'm definitely one of those. So one of the games that I would recommend for anyone who loves a solo game and anyone who loves a sense of adventure and exploration, this game definitely fits that mark. It is the Guild of Merchant Explorers. Do you want an escape? Maybe spend Christmas travelling other lands, discovering treasures and exploring new worlds. The Guild of Merchant Explorers is a gorgeously crafted map journeying game that looks like one of Santa's elves crafted it right out of their very own workshop. Like Santa's sleigh zooming across the sky, players will spend 4 eras exploring new worlds that span from volcanic landscapes to places with flying bobbin pink jellyfish.
Each era introduces discovery cards that provides players with super cool new ways to explore the worlds. They provide game-breaking rules that only you can perform. As the eras progress, you'll be able to reuse your special sailing powers to scour the lands. It's a beautiful mechanism that showcases your expedition's exploration techniques. Cities that are laid down throughout the game in explored terrains provide starting points for future eras, allowing players to start from new regions, creating a stepping stone in on their journey. At the periphery of each map, there are places to build towers. Building a tower helps you to score bonus points and probably to stop players from falling off the map. Throughout the game, players will be racing to fulfill public goals to earn coinage, as well as exploring different terrains to build cities and discover wreckages that contain different treasures. These treasures provide immediate bonuses or even end-of-game scoring conditions.
The Guild of Merchant Explorers is a gorgeous solo experience. As a huge fan of cartography and building and drawing my own fantasy maps, this is a game that absolutely speaks to me. This is a really great game to play by yourself, or if you want to play competitively with your family, because it's really easy to teach, very easy to sink your teeth into, as well as the sense of exploration on each map feels varied and different each time. Each map comes with 6 objectives, and the combination of 3 objectives that you use for each map per game is going to vary each time. And that kind of introduces this really cool racing element. So if you're playing with someone else, trying to vie for those objectives first really pits you head to head. If you're playing the solo mode of the game, every time you reveal certain numbered era cards, they cover up some of the coins on those objective cards, which kind of acts like a little ticker timer effect, which gives you very limited time to complete the objectives that are laid out in front of you. The most beautiful aspect of this game is the investigate cards. The fact that you get to draw 2 each time, and they kind of break the rules in so many different ways, providing a multitude of options in terms of how you explore your map, how you expand on your map. Have you recently fallen in love? Or maybe you're in love with Christmas or board games like I am? Well, this next board game is perfect for couples, perfect for 2 players. A game which involves logic, reasoning, and living under the same roof. It is Decorum.
Christmas is a time when people get together, live together, move in together, or maybe realize that it's a time to move on. Decorum is a cooperative couples game about cohabitation. It's about compromise and living in the same space without sacrificing your individuality. In Decorum, players will be playing different scenarios. Each player will be given a set of conditions that they need in order to be happy. The catch here is that each player has a different piece of the puzzle, and talking about what you want like mature adults is not allowed. You'll communicate like regular couples, where you'll move things around the house without consulting the other person at all. Remember that time your partner threw away your favorite hat? Or hid that awful purple fluffy cushion? I know, it's like you're playing in real life. By replacing items, changing paint colors, moving furniture around, and reacting to each other's every move with, "Oh, that's great," or "No, I don't like it," you'll get to inadvertently push your partner's buttons, and it's great. So forget the gingerbread house this Christmas, because this box of cardboard actually feels like home.
What I love about Decorum is the to and fro. It is an engaging puzzle of logic and also inferring what has not been done already. This is a game that you really have to try to really understand just how fun the communication side of this game is. And usually when board games have this kind of passive-aggressive or indirect communication nature, it kind of falls flat. But in Decorum, it plays so well at 2. In fact, the first time I played this game, I powered through 5 scenarios in a row. I just wanted to keep uncovering the next piece of the puzzle. The game does have options for 3 and 4 players, which are kind of their own separate scenarios. And I just think Decorum, such a beautiful theme. It is a little bit abstract in nature. There's particular scenarios where one player wants a retro themed room and the other player wants something a little bit more modern. And the clash of the 2 different desires and trying to find some sort of compromise between the 2 is something that really comes through in the theme of this game. And this is one where I can see that once you've finished playing the game, you can pack all the little scenarios up, re-gift it to someone else, and pass the joyful experience on to another group of friends. Having lived in Australia for most of my life, a lot of our Christmases involve sweltering through 42-degree days, going to the beach or swimming by the pool or hanging out under a eucalyptus tree with a nice cold kombucha. But I always often think about what it might like to spend Christmas in a much cooler place, maybe Northern Europe, where there's a lot of woodland animals. In this next board game, which I recommend for players who love a really good deep strategy, players are going to be walking through the fields as they experience a game called Meadow.
Sometimes I just want to run around and frolic in a field of sunflowers. Meadow gives you that very experience. It's a game of set collection where you play cards with icons in your meadow and watch as a food chain unfolds right in front of you. Place a berry and a bug might eat it. Place a bug or a grub and a bird might eat it. Have an exposed bird and a wolf or mammal might prey on it. It's a domino effect of placing cards on top of each other, but the fact that you cover up an icon you just used means that icon is no longer available for something else you want. In fact, it introduces a new icon into the meadow for you to dabble with. Drafting cards also feels like you're meandering through a field. You literally poke the side of this board with your picket fence post, hoping to nab up cards from 4 different card decks. One deck holds landscape cards, which forms the foundations of your meadow, whilst the others hold either animal cards or building cards that allow you to build a home to stay in. Meadow has a cozy feel to it, like you're roasting marshmallows by a campfire. Speaking of camping, if you have pairs of icons that appear in your meadow, you can vie for bonus points around this board gaming crop circle. If you've had enough of poking the main board, you can post your fence piece in the side of this round board to gain a bonus action that appears on your picket. Everything about this game makes me long for a wintry European Christmas. Snuggled next to the fireplace playing a game. This is what it's all about.
Meadow is a game that has a really unique twist on the card drafting mechanism. By using these action tokens and slotting them into the sides of the board, players are strategically nabbing particular cards that they need in order to place in their meadow or associated area. What I really love about this game is this kind of food chain, food web effect, where you need a particular icon in your tableau to play another card. And then when you play that other card, you play it on top of a card that you already have covering that icon, meaning that you've covered an icon that you possibly need to play a future card. And so there's this element of strategic planning as well as puzzle matching when it comes to having the right icons face up in front of you. Sometimes you'll need to expand on the different base landscapes so you can increase the number of icons that are available in your presence. Or you can keep going vertically and go higher up that food chain order in order to get some of those really big animals and those stacking victory points at the end of the game. Do you have any family members or friends who love working as a team? Maybe they like Dungeons and Dragons, or they like banding together and fighting off an imposing threat. Well, the next game will have you delving into a completely different world as you explore a map, fight off the great beast in a game which I call the Chronicles of Aval.
Love a great Christmas story? How about one where the fairy tale is under your control, where the battle for good lies in your hands? Chronicles of Aval provides a rich role-playing game-like experience that focuses on protecting the kingdom from the beast who has arrived by a meteorite. You'll get to create and customize your very own character and upgrade them with different weapons and types of armor. You'll even lug around this flat cardboard game backpack where you can store things in it only if the shape fits. Chronicles of Aval is all about the moon. In the first phase, players will explore the map and prepare their items, gaining coins from defeating monsters using these really colourful dice. They'll even build walls, beast traps, and even portal blocks that will hopefully stop new monsters from spawning. In the second phase, the beast rises and starts storming across the land. Players have to fight hard and with their wits, tower defense style, in order to protect the kingdom. It's a tense experience of holding the fort and seeing whether you can overcome all odds. So pack your bags as this game is an all-out war.
Chronicles of Aval is a really fun cooperative game. I really love the sense of exploration across the first half of the game where you get to explore across the land, uncover different tiles and locations to try and prepare for the oncoming beast's attack in the second phase of the game. Being able to upgrade your equipment means that you can re-roll certain dice or gain extra dice during a battle, and the fact that you use your equipment and exhaust your equipment during a clash means that you have to be really strategic about when you're going to use your dice, and the rules are light enough that you can kind of engage with the game quite easily. And I love the fact that you can trade your equipment at the market for extra coin and then use those coins to then build things like traps for the beast, as well as little moon blockades, which kind of stops other monsters from spawning in the future. And the fact that you can customize your character and the emblem means that this game is so appealing. I wouldn't underestimate the level of difficulty in this game, because I play this game quite a few times and I've lost pretty much every single time. You can also adjust the difficulty level by choosing different creator tokens. So if you're playing with younger members of the family, you can make the game easier. You can even reuse the tiles in a different way, and they could have like a chasm in the middle of the map. It really reminds me of the game Betrayal at House on the Hill, where you kind of prepare the map in the first half of the game and then everything starts being thrown at you in the second half of the games. One of the fondest memories that I have when I was younger was writing a letter to Santa. I remember pouring my heart out onto the page and sharing my experiences about why I was good that year or not so good, and hoping that that Christmas would be better than the one before. This next game is a party game that kind of evokes that sense of sending messages, and it is Last Message.
Ever opened a Christmas cracker and discovered a silly joke or a fun party puzzle inside? Maybe you received a hidden message to solve, or you simply like wearing that paper hat that says to your family that you're trying to fit in. Hidden Message is a game all about looking for things, in particular a culprit to a crime. In the game, one plays the culprit and the other is a clue giver. The rest of the players are guessers. After choosing a culprit using this glass bead, the clue giver tries to draw or write words on this board to help the guessers identify the culprit from an image of 10,000 other possible suspects. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. The clue giver needs to provide enough specific details about the culprit to help the guessers narrow down the identity. However, to add a challenge to the mix, the culprit player will be erasing a certain number of spaces on the clue giver's board, making it even harder for the guessers to guess. It's a to and fro match of sending fractured messages to each other, hoping that the culprit will not get away.
I remember as a child reading those Where's Wally and Where's Waldo books and spending hours scouring over the images, looking for Waldo and Wizard and Wanda in the pictures in order to feel that sense of success. This game takes that concept and makes it into a competitive game. I think this game is brilliant, not only in its concept, but also in how much fun and hearing the discussions that players have when they're trying to deduce and interpret the clues on the cards. This game has a really interesting arc where at the beginning of the game, the culprit player definitely has a lot more power because they can rub out more of the squares, whereas the guessing players tend to have a lot tougher time at the beginning, but an easier time towards the end as they culminate and accumulate more and more clues throughout the rounds. Is there someone that you know that absolutely loves board games, is a board game hobbyist, collects board games, plays tons of board games, and is a game enthusiast? Well, the next game will definitely be right up their alley, and it's one that I've recently fallen absolutely in love with. It's got some most beautiful art. It definitely has a Japanese vibe to it, but it is one that I will definitely be playing this Christmas. It is Toku.
Want a Euro that is heavy, complicated, and oversaturated with green, 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 and more green? Then Toku could really be its own cardboard Christmas tree. Toku is a deep point salad game. It literally looks like a salad if you squint from afar from all its greenness. It's a game where players are Japanese spirits, all hoping to become the next great spirit of the forest. Players throughout the game will need to draw on the yokai by building a deck of cards that helps players to unlock dice that they then use to deploy onto this board like some sort of tree decoration. The power of each dice that is deployed will determine the strength of the action taken in the space that it's placed, whether it be obtaining a dragonfly or a Mitamata spirit tile, moving a pilgrim on the Path of Wisdom or Bitoku card, whether it's gaining a resource or even buying crystals or constructing buildings. Well, it's all about sending your dice across this river because that's where you become enlightened. Pushing your dice across the river to the Hikaru Hills grants you extra yokai cards or Bitoku cards or even vision cards that help you to earn extra points. It's all a mishmash of colourful goodness, of sending bits and pieces around the board to do different things for you. Place a crystal to unlock an extra resource or scoring ability, which then wakes up a pilgrim. Then send that pilgrim to a Torii Gate or place him on a rock path to score you multiple points. You really feel like Santa Claus sending your elves to do all your work for you. This game looks like I took a collection of random pieces, placed them in a blender, and regurgitated it back out into a board game. Whilst it looks dizzyingly kaleidoscopic, it actually is such fun. Toku is a board game that awards those who are most adventurous, and no one should ever play this game lightheartedly, and it's definitely not a game that you can just get out and learn how to play in one afternoon. In fact, it took me several days to wrap my head around not only the base rules, but also the solo rules as well. So with that forewarning, this game is incredibly complex, but those who venture into the depth and the thematic and the layered nature of Bitoku are going to be rewarded with a really cool, satisfying experience. I absolutely love Bitoku. It's one where I've loved exploring all of the different avenues for trying to win, whether it's joining up dragonflies tiles with little Mitamata tiles, or whether it's building a Bitoku path and then moving your marker along the Bitoku path to actually gain extra victory points and rewards. I love setting buildings out and then placing a die in a region and activating one of the buildings that I've already placed to gain an extra bonus. I also love crossing the river and trying to use these more powerful actions on the upper side of the river to improve my deck, as well as placing my pilgrims on my rock path. Everything in this game feels connected. Players are essentially going to be playing cards, unlocking dice, placing dice, crossing the river, taking cards, taking actions, making resources, combining things. Even the added vision cards have a ticket to ride feel where you're like, ooh, I've satisfied these 5 components, need to do one more thing to earn these extra points. And this wisdom path is very reminiscent of games like Great Western Trail, where you're moving your pilgrims along this path, and as they find an illumination space or a temple space, they go to sleep, giving you the awards, the bonus, and sometimes the bonus effects on these gate tiles. There are so many cool interwoven mechanisms here that sometimes when you just look at the board, it can be a little bit overwhelming. It almost looks like a kaleidoscope of colors or a Technicolor overload, but when you've actually sectioned off each piece, wrapped your head around how everything works together, the game actually flows really well on your second game. Now, to wrap things up, thank you once again for joining me for another Board Game Sanctuary video. If you really love this video, please consider supporting me on my Patreon page. Link in the description box below. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. And if you want some more awesome board game Christmas gift ideas, check out my description box because I put the links to my past Christmas videos in there. Otherwise, this is Danny signing out. Please definitely check out the other videos on my channel and I'll see you again soon. Merry Christmas. Goodbye.